Yes, here we are, Sports Bet Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, Monday, August 22nd. Everything in the NFL, recap, quarterbacks, quarterback battles, and injuries. We'll do in the deep dive and the play of the day. Big game breakdown, Astros and the Pirates, Nationals and the Orioles. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Bad for the books, UFC. Great main event. Some people said it was the best main event or card they've ever seen. McGregor-Diaz 2. Heavy steam on McGregor late, a 40-cent move. I say the right decision. No controversy as far as I'm concerned. McGregor won the first, the second, and the fifth. First, the second, and the fourth rounds. You want to give Diaz 10-8 in the third. Some people disagree with that. I know Kevin Ioli thought that was a 10-9 round, not a 10-8 for Diaz in the third. McGregor forces the trilogy coming up later. He wants it at 155. Great fight, Teddy.
Now, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I watched it. If that's the best the UFC has to offer, I'm not really that interested in the UFC.
You didn't like that fight?
No, they battled for the second round and the third round were entertaining. By the fourth round, everyone's out of gas. By the fifth round, how can you tell me who won the fifth round when nobody landed a clean punch? Nobody had anything left. Yeah. You say, oh, it's such an easy decision. It's not an easy decision. Now, all the money did come on McGregor. And everybody I was watching with was McGregor. I know the books took an absolute beating on this fight, but, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's just not, I guess it's just not my thing, Paul.
There's blood everywhere. These guys are all cut up. Diaz gives him the middle finger in the middle of the match. Oh.
Yeah, sure. That was fun and funny, okay, when Diaz flipped him off. To see Diaz's blood on McGregor's body throughout the fight, I don't know if it's fun or funny, but interesting and entertaining, something you certainly wouldn't see in an NBA game. But from an actual here's the fight and this is what these two guys are doing standpoint, it doesn't float. It just doesn't move the needle for me.
You're old.
It just doesn't. I can't.
You sound
pretend
old.
to like something that doesn't work. I mean, I watched it. I watched it with a group of people like a hawk, and everyone was all excited. Just not my thing.
All right, fair enough. You old bastard, get off my lawn, guy.
Yeah, all right, get off my lawn, you kids.
It's not for everybody. More bad for the books. A lot of money came in on the Dodgers against the Reds. They sat Votto, and the markets jumped all over it.
Oh, yeah. The markets went nuts.
Yeah.
Dodgers moved from minus $1.25 to minus 150. And, of course, Votto's been arguably the best player in baseball since the All-Star break. The Reds have certainly been a team we've talked about a lot here on SportsBet as offering great value for their backers. Dominated LA in the first two games of this series, but when Votto replaced by the punch list Ivan De Jesus, It wasn't pretty for Cincy. LA gets the money, LA gets the win. Not a good result for the house.
This was a bad beat in my opinion. You can chime in. The Mariners, a 40-cent move. They're up 6-3 in the ninth. The bullpen blows it. Carter just reaches out on a pitch, and it's at the center field with a 2-run shot to tie it, a misplay in the outfield to give the Brewers the lead, and that's a bad loss for the Mariners, who are trying to get one of the wild cards.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bad beat when you have a 6-3 lead in the ninth and you don't come away with the victory in MLB. It's a bad beat, however you want to describe it. Obviously, you talked about Carter hitting the 2-run home run. Broxton hit the 2-run home run in the ninth inning as well. And, of course, we were just talking about how good Edwin Diaz had been for Seattle. And then he struggled in his last two save chances. They bring in Williamson to try to close it out. Oops. Not the right call. You can take a look at the pick right here of a temporary closer that did not get the job done on Sunday.
Diaz needs to trust his stuff. He's throwing too many breaking balls. He throws 100 miles an hour. Challenge somebody. That's been his problem the last few outings. Steam on the Mets. No Posey, and Cespedes back. Some more home runs trying to save the Mets season.
Yeah, he sure is. I mean, Cespedes had, 3 home runs over the weekend? And frankly, that's all they needed is one bat. If you remember what happened when he arrived in New York last year at the trading deadline, all of a sudden they started scoring runs. Well, they just started scoring runs this past weekend. And we talked about how a couple of wins come from behind in Chicago might have turned the St. Louis Cardinals season around last week. Well, the Mets showing those type of signs right about now.
Bad bet, no doubt about it. Gold medal game, Serbia plus 15. USA rolls with an easy win. They win by 30. They were going to cover the whole way pretty much Once that got into the second quarter and they opened it up, it was over, Teddy.
Yeah, and it was good two-way action on the game. The books were pleased, I think, with the result for this one because they did get a fair bit of money on Serbia. USA hasn't exactly been a point spread covering machine throughout the Olympics, and that's putting it mildly. So there was good two-way action on the game, but a very one-sided result. I mean, USA with the spread covered well before halftime, and Serbia never even sniffing a cover in the second half of that ball game.
All right, up next, big game breakdown. Astros and the Pirates, Nationals and the Orioles, and everything in the NFL in the deep dive on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Hey everyone, it's a new week in August. Mike Brenner and I have had a very, very profitable August. I'm dead even now, and Mike Brenner's up double-digit units in August. What do you think? You think you're going to have a winner today again, Monday?
I do. 22nd? I feel good about this card today, Pistol.
Okay, sounds good. We got a lot of interesting situations, right? Strasburg, Jameson, Tyon. So tune into the show today, Monday, August 22nd.
And don't forget, football's right around the corner, guys. So you're going to get the best of the both worlds with Pauly and Teddy and Pistol Pete and me.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today. Time for big game breakdown. As always, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Astros and the Pirates. Fister against Tyon. Pirates, $1.50. 8 the total over, minus $1.20. Big spot wasted by the Pirates. Swept at home against the Marlins, who they're fighting for the wild card spot for. But it was a different story for the Astros, who won 3 in a row, and the offense came alive in Baltimore, Teddy.
Oh, yeah, they sure did. They lost the opener of that series, then went nuts. 32 runs over the last 3 days against the Orioles. 8 home runs hit from Houston during that span. And, of course, Keuchel also burned 8 innings on Sunday to give the bullpen a real break. Not only do they have a hot lineup, they also have a rested bullpen. And that matters, of course, because Doug Fister, a guy who the markets love to hate right now, well, he's gone 5 innings or less 4 times since the beginning of July. And he got knocked out of the box after 4 innings against St. Louis in his last start. Needed 98 pitches to truly labor through those 4 innings of effort. So the fact that Houston has a rested bullpen here off of Keuchel's strong performance yesterday is something that is definitely worth considering your handicapping for this ball game.
Tyon 6'6", uses almost every bit of that frame in his windup, and now the Astros have to do what others have failed. Read that delivery on the first look.
Well, yeah. I mean, when we talk about the young hurlers going their first time around the league, especially a guy who's 6, I mean, the tall guys really do have an edge. The lefties have an edge, and the tall guys got an edge. But let's look at the numbers. Through his first 11 big league starts, an ERA of 3, the fielding and pitching, the adjusted fielding and independent pitching, the Sierra numbers all show rock solid, nothing dramatic in terms of we should expect any type of correction. And what was the story with this young kid coming up? He was supposed to throw strikes. He was supposed to get ground ball outs. Well, what do we got? He's throwing strikes, only walking 1.2 batters per 9 inning. The ground ball outs, more than 53% of the time, he's keeping the ball on the ground. So you prorate that to a full season. Only Josh Tomlin in all of baseball has a better strikeout per 9 inning ratio, and he would rate number 8 in ground ball percentage. That being said, the Pirates' offense only managed 8 runs scored versus the Marlins, despite facing the back end of that Miami rotation.
How do you think this plays out? Who's going to get these wild cards?
Well, that's the beauty of baseball. I mean, and that's the beauty of the handicapper's job. People ask me, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to win the World Series? I don't care. I care about who's going to win the next day's games or today's games. And when it comes to who's going to win it all or who's going to make the playoffs or, where's this free agent going to go? People think like I've got knowledge on where a free agent. I don't know what a guy's thinking, So you say, how's this going to play out? It's going to play out day by day, game by game. And as a handicapper, our job is to look for little edges day by day and game by game. And over those over time, those little edges really do add up.
Game number 2, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Nationals and the Orioles. Strasburg against Bundy. Nats $1.23. 9 the total. We've been telling you how bad Strasburg's been, and they need to skip his spot in the rotation. But Dusty Baker, and I know watching the Cubs with Pryor and Wood, he'll burn pitchers out. Teddy, this has not been a fluke. You look at this graphic. Since August 1st, going back, on August 1st, he was 15-1 with a 2.63. Since then, 0-3 with an ERA of almost 15. Not a fluke at all, Teddy.
No, 11.2 innings of work over his last 3 starts. He's given up 19 earned runs and the whip of more than 2.5 base runners per inning. His last outing at Colorado, 9 hits, 3 walks, 9 runs. The guy can't keep the ball down in the strike zone right now. The season ground ball percentage, just under 40%, not necessarily a great ground ball percentage, but look of late. Last 3 games, he's only gotten less than 30% ground ball rate. So guys are getting it up and knocking it around against Steven Strasburg of late. And this is a trend. Again, you don't want to make too much of it, but you don't want to make too little of it. And as you mentioned, with Dusty Baker's history of burning out pitchers and burning out their arms, and this isn't like a little history. This is a you did it, mister, type of history where, oh, he had an impact. No, it was you, Dusty. And, of course, the Washington Brain Trust and all of their brilliance decided Dusty's the guy. We have this great pitching staff. Let's see what he can do with them. I see nothing positive with Strasburg right now. He is a one-way hurler for me. I will be betting against Steven Strasburg, whether it's on side or on total, until proven otherwise. But at least, Pauly, Bryce Harper has broken out of his slump.
About time.
We talked about this on Sportsbet last week. 11 of 27, 8 walks on the road trip, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, only 4 strikeouts. That being said, a brutal Sunday from the bullpen and the defense ended their win streak. 5 errors. Yeah, that's Washington baseball.
Well, now Showalter has to worry about Bundy. His last start was horrendous. He came into that game against the Red Sox. His previous 3 starts, 3-0 with a 1.45. Then you look at these numbers against the Red Sox, 4 1/3, 5 earned, 9 hits, 2 home runs. His previous 3, he struck out 24% of the batters. For the Red Sox, he only struck out 2 of the 25 hitters.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't pretty for Bundy. And it's worth noting, the bullpen behind him really got roughed up by the Astros over the weekend. And this has been an Orioles pen that's been tremendous all year long. They were not tremendous this past weekend. That being said, on Sunday, they only had to use Parker Broadwell for 2 innings of work. So the bullpen for Baltimore, a little bit more rested than it might look on first glance coming to this ballgame after some of the rough outings they had over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, after what happened at home against Houston, and now you look at the schedule coming up, this is a big series for the Orioles. Up next, deep dive. Everything that happened in week 2 of the preseason and the play of the day on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com. Hey guys, it's that time of year again, football season. And with that, let's hear from everyone's favorite prick.
If you like Captain American football, there's 50,000 dead presidents on the line in this year's Beat the Prick contest. In case you ain't fucking guessed, I'm the prick. Click on the link below for more info. I'm ready to stomp some ass. This is going to be my best performance yet. So join today. It's free, you fucking squares.
Back on SportsBit, Pauly and Teddy, deep dive, NFL Week 2 preseason, quarterback battles, and oh my God, the injuries of the Patriots. It happened again. Let's start with offensive tackle Sebastian Vollmer. He'll go on the IR with a nagging hip injury, according to the Boston Globe, currently on the PUP list. This was a big problem last year, Teddy, when they couldn't protect Brady, and a big reason why was all the injuries, and bam, it happens already.
And if you think about the 2015 New England Patriots season and how it ended in Denver, a game where they couldn't move the football in the fourth quarter because Tom Brady was under constant pressure, and I believe they go 3 and out on 4 of their last 5 drives to let Denver come back and win that game. And you say, how did that happen? It happened because the offensive line couldn't protect their quarterback and couldn't open up holes for their running back. So what happens here in the preseason? Well, now we have Vollmer, who could, there's talk that he could miss the season right now. He was in the starting lineup for 14 games last year and was arguably as good as anyone New England had on that offensive line. Marcus Cannon, the top candidate to replace him. But certainly we talk about at this stage of the season for New England, the loss of Vollmer is something that has the potential to have, I'm not going to say bad, has the potential to have catastrophic consequences.
To me, and I watched every game last year, this is a bigger injury. Dion Lewis tore his left ACL on November 8th. He has to undergo a cleanup surgery that will sideline him indefinitely. That's Mike Reese, ESPN Boston. One source told Adam Schefter there's a chance he'll return this year. That offense was night and day when Lewis was in there and then he was out. He was great for Brady to find on third down and move the chains.
Yeah, and again, a lot of times the running back injuries we kind of poo-poo. I do, personally. But when you talk about a running back that makes catches on a consistent basis for first downs out of the backfield in those tough third down spots, Deion Lewis is that guy. Now, he hasn't played since, last November 8th? We're talking about a surgery now that's going to sideline him indefinitely, but there is hope, at least, for New England that he will return at some point this season, but he's not going to be there in September. He's not likely to be there in October.
The Denver Broncos, halfway through the preseason. Who's the quarterback? The door is open for Paxton Lynch.
Yeah, Simeon and Mark Sanchez did their best to lose the job on Saturday. Simeon threw the ugly pick 6 in the first quarter, and Sanchez, he looked hapless. What do we say it? He lost 2 fumbles in the red zone in the second quarter, couldn't complete passes. It was, your classic Mark Sanchez type of performance. And we've seen enough of Sanchez that we know what he's going to bring to the table. Now, let's not forget, the Broncos had the 31st ranked passing game in the NFL last year. They don't need someone who can do everything at the quarterback position. What they need is someone that's not going to lose them games at the quarterback position. And right now, all 3 quarterbacks could lose them the game. Simeon is not an NFL starter. Sanchez is not an NFL starter. And Paxton Lynch, I'm sorry, coming out of Memphis, I know that he's big. I know that he's got a ton of potential. I don't look at him as someone who's ready to come in and start an NFL game right now. I certainly haven't seen that from his early efforts in the preseason. Here's Gary Kubiak talking about Paxton Lynch. Quote, "He's always been in the mix. I told you guys that he's behind the other 2 from a knowledge standpoint, but we've been out there competing every day. Everybody is in competition to play." Doesn't matter. Sanchez, Simeon, Lynch. Whoever wins this job is not going to win this job. It's going to be because the other 2 guys have lost it. And from a confidence standpoint in the fourth quarter, for as bad as Peyton Manning played last year, Pauly, with the game on the line in the fourth quarter, his teammates had faith in him. I'm not convinced that any of Denver's 3 quarterbacks are going to enjoy that same level of respect in the huddle and in the locker room.
Sanchez knew he blew it. He said it after he squandered a big opportunity. He's right.
Look at the quotes.
Yeah,
Did you see the quote?
Yeah, I'll do it. Here's throw up the Sanchez quote, guys. I squandered a great opportunity to separate myself and put the team in a bad situation. No excuse for that poor QB play. Simeon, quote, "I just can't turn the ball over. Made a bad decision. I want that one back. The bad play, the pick 6. You can't have one bad play. This will be wild." Now, nothing but good plays. I can't. Hey, the market said, all right, do it again. Prescott did. He accounted for 4 touchdowns. The Cowboys hammered the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah, and this is why he got my money. I didn't think he could do it again. Dak Prescott was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He was a MVP of the preseason so far.
Yep.
It's John Mannion, maybe. Dak Prescott. It's been 2 great weeks for Prescott. Let's put it that way. And doing it again against first stringers and second stringers, not the back end of the bench. Cowboys offense moving up and down the field with Dak Prescott behind center. And, of course, if you had Dallas in that game, and not many people did, a lot of money came on the other side. Dolphins took a fortune, and the books did very, very well on that contest. The books had a pretty good weekend overall in NFL preseason action, but they'll be sending Christmas cards to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott almost single-handedly won them 2 big decisions in the first 2 weeks of the preseason where money poured in against Dallas.
Know your coaches. Remember the preseason deep dive we had, what to know, what to follow. Mike Zimmer, 10-1 now in the preseason. The Vikings defense, a big story, shutting down Cincinnati and Seattle's number 1 offenses. Vikings getting the money twice as underdogs.
Oh, yeah, and I'll tell you what. Their defense shut down Seattle. They were all over the Seahawks on it. Basically every play, they dominated the line of scrimmage. The back 7 was tremendous, and there weren't open receivers. This is a pretty good-looking Seahawks first-string offense, pretty good-looking Bengals first-string offense. I haven't seen a defense in the preseason that's looked a whole lot better than the Vikings defense, and they did it again in getting that outright win in Seattle.
A question for you. Was it the Bills' defense Saturday or the Giants' offense? Giants shut out 10 points, 8 turnovers through 2 games.
Yeah, and the answer is a little bit of both. The Giants' offense has stunk the first 2 games. And, again, McAdoo, I haven't seen anything from McAdoo that's showing that he's super concerned about it. I think that there's certainly some offensive line issues for the Giants that they're trying to resolve here in training camp, but I haven't looked at the G-men from a coaching standpoint and seeing a coach who's panicking or saying, hey, we got to change things right now. If you remember, McAdoo's offense took a little while to get rolling, certainly in his first season as the offense coordinator, and that was part of the reason why the Giants were a sub-500 team that year. That being said, when you have 10 points and 8 turnovers through 2 games, it's certainly not a good sign. And, of course, Ryan Nassib is the number 2 quarterback. He's been rough. 9 of 27, 2 interceptions. He lost 2 fumbles through the first 2 games. And when we talk about quarterbacks we love to make fun of, Logan Thomas is one of those guys. He's even worse than the worst third-string quarterback in the NFL. Logan Thomas.
Yeah, guy should be bagging groceries. I can't believe.
I mean, we bet against him for 4 years at Virginia Tech, and Arizona drafted him, and I'm like, I can bet against him in the NFL preseason now too. Yes, Thomas, 7 pass attempts here in the preseason, 2 of them have gone for INTs. But for all the struggles of the Giants' offense, it's been 2 really strong efforts from the Bills' defense. I mean, they played the Colts week 1. The Colts' first-string offense didn't do anything. They played the Giants week 2. The Giants' first-string offense didn't do anything. Buffalo's got some star power on that defense. They've got a nice pass rush. They've got strong cornerbacks. And even with the injuries they've suffered here in training camp, there's hope for that Bills D. But you ask me, Giants offense good, Bills defense, or Giants offense bad, Bills defense good. I'm not going to give it all to one side or the other. We're going to say a little bit of both.
You want to go quick on Carolina? I know you really like their quarterback rotation.
Yeah, well, I know it's another game. I did not have a good weekend betting the NFL preseason, and I'm an idiot. We talk all the time on the show. Hey, this is what a good quarterback preseason rotation is going to look like. This is what a good quarterback preseason rotation is going to look like. What happened with Carolina? That a good preseason, a good quarterback rotation. Derek Anderson comes in and throws for 118 yards after Cam Newton goes down. Joe Webb goes 5 of 5, throws for 60 more. Both quarterbacks lead touchdown drives. And Carolina, facing a concerted effort from Tennessee, controls the game in the second half with the strong backup quarterbacks. That's not Dustin Vaughn behind center, the Steelers' third-string QB. These are 2 guys who can move the football. And again, when you talk about strategies for winning in August, the second, the third-string quarterbacks that can move the ball up and down the field, you can make your money with.
All right, 3-2 last week. Loser Friday. Hey, give the Red Sox credit. They roughed up Fulmer and then the bullpen. So let's have another winning week here. Money time, play of the day. Teddy, back to the Nationals game.
Yeah, let's go. Talk about the 2 pitchers that I've got at least modest interest in fading and 2 lineups that I'm interested in backing right now. Instead of Bryce Harper throwing his bat down in disgust after striking out, the last week he's been flipping into the air after crushing the ball. Let's take a look at number 923, 924, Washington and Baltimore. Over the total. 9. There's reduced juice at many shops with that over 9 right now. Again, Nationals and Orioles over 9. That's our play of the day.
It is official. We made it. We got week 3 of the preseason, dress rehearsal, the games you want to actually watch and that are entertaining. And Friday, college football starts from Sydney, Australia, Cal, and Hawaii on ESPN. Big show this week on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com. Talk to you tomorrow.